$350 billion. That's how much the US has poured into Ukraine's war effort. But here's the big question. Is it money well spent? Or are we funding an endless conflict that's draining American taxpayers while our own country faces crisis after crisis? Let's break it down. The numbers, the impact, and the real cost of this war. And stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might start questioning everything Washington has told you. Since 2022, the US has sent over $350 billion in military and financial aid to Ukraine. That's more than the entire annual defense budget of Russia. It includes $100 billion in weapons, HIMARS rocket systems, Javelin missiles, Abrams tanks, drones, and even Patriot air defense systems. $50 billion in direct financial and humanitarian aid, helping Ukraine's government pay salaries, pensions, and keep its economy afloat. $200 billion in classified defense operations, funding intelligence, cyber warfare, and training Ukrainian forces. Let's put this in perspective. If we stack $350 billion in $100 bills, it would reach over 200 miles high. That's enough to give every homeless person in America over $1.5 million. Enough to rebuild every crumbling bridge in the US 5 times over. Yet, despite all this aid, Ukraine is still losing ground. So, where is all this money actually going? The White House claims US aid has been a game changer. And sure, American weapons have slowed Russian advances, for now. But let's look at the hard truth. Russia controls more land now than it did in 2022. Despite billions in US support, Ukraine has lost Avdiivka, Soledar, and huge portions of the Donbass. Ukraine is running out of soldiers. Their government is now drafting men in their 50s and 60s to keep up with casualties. Reports suggest Ukraine has lost over 100,000 troops. Corruption concerns are growing. US officials have no way to track exactly where the money and weapons end up. Some reports suggest black market sales of American weapons, and even Ukraine's own defense minister was fired for corruption. Here's what some experts fear. No matter how much aid we send, Ukraine might not be able to win this war. So, if victory isn't even guaranteed, why are we still writing blank checks? Meanwhile, back in the US, things aren't looking good. While Ukraine gets billions, American families are struggling to afford groceries. Just look at what's happening. Inflation is at a 40-year high. Prices for food, gas, and housing have skyrocketed. Your paycheck buys less than it did 5 years ago. Homelessness in the US has reached record levels. Over 650,000 Americans are living on the streets, the highest number ever recorded. Our own military is underfunded. Recruitment is at an all-time low, and some US bases can't even afford to repair outdated equipment. Social Security is running out of money. The government warns that by 2033, benefits could be cut by up to 23% because of funding shortages. So let's ask a serious question. If we can't take care of our own country, why are we spending hundreds of billions on a foreign war? And the bigger issue? How does this war actually benefit America? The debate is getting explosive. On one side, Biden and the Democrats insist the US must stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. On the other, Trump, J.D. Vance, and a growing number of Republicans argue that Ukraine is losing, and it's time to cut the funding. Here's where things get even more interesting. Donald Trump has hinted that if he wins in 2024, he will push for an immediate ceasefire, even if it means cutting off Ukraine entirely. J.D. Vance has outright said, Ukraine is losing. No amount of money will change that. Meanwhile, European allies are also pulling back. Even Germany and France are questioning how much longer they can keep sending weapons. So let's think ahead. If Trump wins, does Ukraine lose everything? And if Biden stays, how much more will this war cost before Washington finally says enough? Now it's your turn. Is U.S. aid to Ukraine worth it? Should America keep sending billions? Or is it time to focus on our own problems? Drop a comment below. Let's get this debate started. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hard-hitting analysis from EconAtlas. Because the next move in this war could change everything.